once again, we find that when it rains, it pours. I haven't found like a lot of Masters Universe in the stores lately, and then a couple of weeks ago, I found most of the third wave of WWE figures and was able to get them, or other than Ultimate Warrior, which I got a while back, and I still don't have Stephanie McMahon, but hopefully I'll run across her soon. And then when I ran by Target on my way home from work this morning, I was really tired. I didn't feel like doing anything, but for whatever reason, I felt compelled to run by Target, and I found Battle Armor Skeletor and Buzzsaw Hordak. So this is going to be the first of maybe 3 videos that I do today, because supposedly Amazon is going to deliver Scareglow today, and I don't know if I 100% trust that, because I've had the absolute worst luck with Scareglow. And I'll probably tell that whole story when I do the Scareglow video. So if that's not a good teaser for that episode, which hopefully I'll be filming today, I don't know what is. By the way, I don't know when I'm actually going to upload this either, but I do want to go ahead and shoot it, because I want to go ahead and open these action figures. But at the moment, I don't have internet because of reasons, and I'm not going to get into all that right now, because that's personal. But maybe I can swing the laptop by like a McDonald's or a Starbucks and piggyback off of their Wi-Fi and get these videos uploaded so you fine folks can watch them. Otherwise, it's going to be a little delayed. So, anyway, Battle Armor Skeletor. I've been really looking forward to this one. I had Battle Armor He-Man, found Battle Armor He-Man a while back, so you might remember my video about him. And, didn't find Battle Armor Skeletor until this morning. And, for those of you who don't know, I like Battle Armor He-Man. Battle Armor He-Man's fine. It's not even my favorite of the He-Man variants. That would be Thunder Punch He-Man. And I tend to like the more sort of vanilla He-Man the best, the original. So, but Battle Armor He-Man's pretty cool, and I thought they did a pretty good job with this figure. Yeah, there were some nitpicks that I had, and you can see I don't have the actual head on there because my head that was on mine, the printing was off on the eyes, like it was for a lot of people, and I just wound up putting one of the regular Origins heads on here. Why not put the vintage head on there? Well, because I put the vintage head on the regular He-Man, because like I said, that's the one I like best. I wanted to make my own, definitive He-Man figure. But anyway, let's go ahead and open them up, because I'm excited to do this. So, and trying not to wrinkle the comic book, because I like to keep those in as good a shape as possible. I'm not sure if this is going to be the same comic book that came with Battle Armor He-Man, but I suspect it will be, because that one had the origins of the Battle Armors in it, I think. Yep, that's the same one that came with He-Man. So we don't need to review the comic book, because I already talked about that one in the Battle Armor He-Man video. So if you're interested in seeing me talk about the comic book, go watch that video. And there's a little instruction sheet, which is interesting because one of the things it has the instructions on is the little power burst that comes with He-Man. And I hadn't really thought about it, but it looks like that's probably intended to go on both of them, which would make sense because both of them together would be a little more structurally sound. But, it tells you how you can put the two swords together, and you can also put that piece onto Skeletor's sword. Insert half sword into power bolt and additional half sword not included, sold separately. But it doesn't mention that they came with Battle Armor He-Man. So I guess the kids are just expected to know these sort of things. So let's go ahead and get out the tray with Skeletor on it. Get the figure out in a minute. But there's the one of the two heads that comes with it, and this is the more angry head. And I was looking at it while it was in the package, and I figured out what it was that bothers me about this head, and I'll get to that in a minute. I think I might be able to get this out without cutting the rubber bands. I think I might be able to just pull it off. There we go, that's fine. Of course, now I've got rubber bands hanging off of them. There's a reason I cut these things normally. Got a little trash bag down there, so I'll put those rubber bands in that. I'll set this tray aside, and then we can go ahead and get out the rest of the accessories, which are not in a little baggie, and they're not in a tray of their own. They're just kind of in the side of the bubble, like an old school action figure. So first of all, we have this shield, which that's a neat little accessory. I don't think that Mattel has ever made an official Skeletor shield before. I think they might have at one point had a purple version of He-Man's shield in the Classics line, but I don't remember. I don't think it came with any of the figures. I think it was in a weapons pack. If they did do that, and I'm not just imagining it. And then we have another Skeletor head, which this one looks much more like the vintage figure. And both of these heads correct a problem with the head that came on the original Origins figure, which I'm going to pop the head off so we can see that better, is with the first Origins figure, the hood didn't connect at the bottom of the head. So to me, it made it look more like a bonnet or something. In this one, at least the hood goes all the way around. So, Battle Armor Skeletor was actually my favorite Skeletor when I was a kid. I liked him even better than the regular Skeletor. And part of the reason why was because he had this purple neck. And, you know, while I liked Skeletor as a figure, it always really bothered me that he had the blue area between the hood and the cowl. And I was just, you know, why is that there? You know? It shouldn't be there. You should just have, like, purple, like, all the way down the hood to the armor. There we go. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I'll show you on Keldor. Actually, technically, he's Skeletor right now, but it's the Rise of Evil Keldor. You can even see it, even with the cape. There's just all that space there. So I'm going to pop this head off. The Alcala head that came with the Rise of Evil 2-pack. I'm going to pop the Keldor head back on there. So he'll be Keldor. He's Keldor again. And I'm going to take that Alcala head and I'm going to pop it onto this bad boy. There we go. Ooh. Now I got this head on a body where he doesn't have a blue neck. And I think it looks pretty cool. You can see here, though, I think this head does sit a little high on the neck versus the other ones. Let's pop the vintage head on there. We'll see how the vintage head looks. No, I think it sits on there about the same as the others. About the same as this one, anyway. But yeah, I do think that sits a little bit high on the neck. But it's not a big deal on this one because it's purple all the way around anyway. And you can see he's got like a little thing on the back to hold his sword. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still got more accessories to take out of this box. There's a lot of accessories here. And what's left is he's got an extra hand, an extra gripping hand, so he can dual wield his accessories. Which honestly with this one it doesn't really matter because the half sword has a hand guard on it. So he can actually hold it in his open hand. You can do that. So let's go ahead and put the half sword into the open hand. I actually kind of feel like that holds it better than the regular gripping hand, honestly. And then he can hold the Havoc staff in this hand. And of course we have this shield accessory. So we can also swap those out. So why don't we, oops, dropped it. Why don't we go ahead and put the shield onto his wrist. And I'm noticing a slight problem already. For one thing, the open hand, unlike He-Man, it's a bit wider with the spread of the fingers. So you got to really work that in there. And for another thing, I think that this clip is it's not agreeing with the fins on his hands or on his forearms. I'm sorry. So I have to kind of turn it sideways so that it'll fit over those fins. It's like the same. The clip is the same width as it is on He-Man on his shield, but it won't quite. It's not quite wide enough to clip around the fins on the forearms. But I bet I know who can hold it, because Keldor actually has the same forearms as He-Man. So why don't we give this to Keldor? That can be Keldor's shield. And I know it's got a skull on it, and Keldor doesn't have a skull yet, but he can still be a guy who thinks that skulls are cool. I don't have a skull for a face, and I think that skulls are cool. And hopefully I'll keep the skin on my face, because I kind of like having skin on my face. But yeah, that can be Keldor's shield. So I can have Keldor hold the sword and the shield, and that looks pretty cool. So I think he's going to appropriate that weapon, because he can actually hold it. Alright. But Skeletor does have two other really cool weapons he could hold, which is, the standard Skeletor weapons of the Power Sword and the Havoc Staff. So, nothing to complain about here. I am 100% fine with this. See, there we go. And I like the vintage style head. I do feel like there's maybe a little too much yellow overspray on it versus the green around the sides. There should be a little more green around the sides. In fact, there's barely any green around the sides of the Scowly head. You can see is just kind of barely. I don't even know if it's showing up on camera at all. But there's a little bit more on the vintage style head, and it just doesn't show through as well. So I do like this head a lot more than the regular Origins head, and not just because he looks more like the vintage style one, and not just because like the other one looked like he was yelling. I didn't mind that the other one had the open mouth. I thought it was fine. But my main problem with it was that openness at the bottom of the hood, and this one solves that problem. It's not a problem anymore. So now this Skeletor is a lot better. So before I end this video, I want to go ahead and do something that, if I don't do it, everybody's going to be like, why didn't you do this in the Battle Armor Skeletor video? Because it's something that's pretty important. And I just want to demonstrate the features of the Battle Armor. And you can see that, like with He-Man, the drum on there is a little more narrow. But I don't think it's quite as noticeable on Skeletor, because, they've sculpted in the extra space there. Like, He-Man's armor, I think, is supposed to be, like, at least within the canon, seamless. Like, that seam isn't supposed to be there. You're supposed to pretend like it's not there. But with Skeletor, it had the seam incorporated into the sculpt. So there's a little bit of space on the sides here where there should be a seam, but there's not. So to me, it's not quite as noticeable. To other people, it might be more noticeable. I don't know. But since I got Battle Armor He-Man here, who better than to demonstrate how Battle Armor Skeletor works? So He-Man takes a mighty swing at Skeletor, and oh, there's a dent in his armor. And he takes another mighty swing at Skeletor, and there's another dent in his armor. So then we can roll it back, and magically, Skeletor's armor repairs itself. Pretty cool, huh? So, like I said, Battle Armor Skeletor was probably my favorite Skeletor figure when I was a kid. He was kind of my go-to of Skeletors. I wound up buying two of them because, like, towards the end of the line, when they were all kind of clearanced out. And I wasn't really collecting that much He-Man stuff anymore, but I saw that, I saw a Battle Armor Skeletor figure on the shelf for like $2, and I was like, even though I was getting a little old for it at the time, I was like, yeah, I like Skeletor. Skeletor's cool. And I especially like Battle Armor Skeletor, so I bought another one. But But yeah, so I bought this one. I'm really happy with it. This is one I highly recommend. This is an essential figure to have in this line. He's got all the cool detail like the older one does, except for I think that maybe the skull has like not quite as much detail to it as the older one, but whatever. He looks great. This is probably the best Skeletor figure that they've put out so far. Maybe the Rise of Evil one, the Keldor slash Skeletor rivals it, but I don't know. Like I said, I always like Battle Armor Skeletor best, so this is probably going to be like my go-to Skeletor in this line now. I might wind up taking one of the extra loincloths that I have and putting on him, because I always felt like he would have looked better with the loincloth. That would have made a great figure even greater, but I don't know if I'm going to do that, because he might also be the figure that I display as riding on Panther, and he might sit on Panther a little bit better without the loincloth, with just the, the furry shorts that are sculpted on there. But, whatever. Great figure. I'm really happy with it, and I can't think of anything else to say about it right now. So I'm gonna call an end to this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and all the other YouTube stuff that you can do down below to help support this channel. If you want to, share the video with people that might find it interesting to see some guy on his couch talking about action figures. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.